All right, this is Thomas, and we are here with. Please introduce yourself.
Legally, I'm Joe A. Johnson. I prefer to be called Missy because that's my nickname.
Okay, hi, Misty. Where do you live at?
I live in the Star Mobile Home Park. I own my own trailer and I rent the lot. I am lot 29. I'm not afraid to say that. That's where I live.
How long? I'm sorry.
This has been my home for 6 years.
6 years. Okay. Now March 14th. Obviously a day that was just changed a lot of people's lives.
Right.
Do you remember? What happened that day? Were you here at home?
That is correct. We were home. That night, I told my husband, I said, let's order pizza. So we ordered pizza. And then about an hour later, I said, you know what? Because I had quit smoking. I had quit smoking for 3 years, and I picked the nasty habit back up. I said, now let's go get some ice cream. So we had gotten some ice cream, and I liked my Magic Shell. And we just finished up our ice cream, and the emergency alerts went off on our cell phones at 7:28. That number's bored in my head. 7:28, the National Weather Service sent out an alert, and he said, okay. And then he likes to watch the weather, so he starts looking out the door. And then about 10 to 12 minutes later, you have the Logan County siren go off. The Logan County siren went off, and he looks at me and he calls me Miss. He's like, Miss, what should we do? I'm like, Sandy's always said, if there's a tornado, we're to get in that block building at the front of the trailer park. So I said, you hook up Echo, I'll hook up JJ on our leashes. We went outside, we closed the door. I think if I would have left the windows open, maybe it wouldn't have blown out all the windows. I don't know. That's what I've been told by somebody that lived in Oklahoma. In Ohio, we were always told to keep everything closed up. So anyway, we go out and we got both of our Labrador retrievers, and we're like, we can see Sandy out of front windows. We're like, come on, Sandy, we gotta go. And so we get Sandy out of her trailer, and we're all three. She's got her golden retriever, and we're going across the trailer park. And as I'm going across the trailer park, I don't know if my husband heard it because he's deaf in one ear, but I could hear it. And I can tell you what a train sounds like. It doesn't sound like the whoop whoop. It sounds like swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. When you're sitting at the railroad crossing and the train going by you in a car, that's what it sounds like. And as we're going across, I'm going across the field and then weaving and bobbing in between the trailers to get to that brick building. I have that noise in my ear, and I have little tiny pebbles hitting the side of my face that means the wind's picking up.
Right.
So I get into the block building. Mark gets in the block building. Sandy gets in the block building. You've got Ron, the trailer agent, and then you've got Van. He was in lot 38. Van was sitting in the back. There happens to be a bathroom for the workers back in the day in there. He was sitting on a pickle bucket in the bathroom in the back of that shed. And Van let me have that room with the 3 dogs. So I kept the 3 dogs contained in that little room. Then you had Sandy up front. And then you had Mark. He had his arm and I think a big plastic table keeping those glass doors on that block shed closed. And Mark said, there went a semi, and it blew apart and combusted. And then he said later, he saw debris coming at that glass plate windows. There's French doors on that shed that are all glass. And as it went through, I'd say in maybe 10 seconds. It blew out both of the windows on that block shed. And then I made a video on Facebook. I'm in a brick shed at the front of the Star Mobile Home Park. I don't know if I have a home. I don't know what's going on out there. So then it didn't seem like it. Time stopped. But we sat in there for 3 hours, not realizing it. Sat in there for 3 hours, and finally, I think it was lot 54 or 56, he came up to the block building. He said, you can come out now. I think I have a broken rib. I just crawled out of the side of my trailer. So we locked the 3 dogs in the bedroom or the bathroom where they're safe, and I come out. Well, now it's a hazard. You've got hanging electric lines, and every trailer in here, I think, had busted gas lines. You could hear it. Hissing like a snake. Everywhere you walked. And there's electric lines hanging like this. There's electric lines. And here we are. It's pitch black. It's 10:30 at night with 3 dogs, 3 adults trying to get back over here to the last street in the trailer park. So we have our flashlights and we're playing dodge 'em. Trying to guide these dogs over. And we get over here and he's like, what do we do? I said, well, I'm making the executive decision. We're evacuating. We don't have any windows. We don't have any heat. If somebody should light a cigarette in this park, this whole place is going to blow up. So this was the stupidest part. Like, I get out there on 33 and I'm trying to get somebody's attention. They've got 33 blocked off at this point. And I'm like, I need to get to my daughter. My daughter is now sitting down in Russell's Point with my 2 grandchildren and her husband in the minivan. And so I said, how do I get down there? How are they going to get to me? Well, you're gonna have to drive down there. Sir, my car is crushed. I drive a pickup truck. We're not going to be able to put 200-pound dogs in a pickup truck that's crushed. So I managed to get us a police escort. And when I was out there arranging for the police escort, I looked up and there was a power line about 6 inches over my head. And I looked at the officer and I said, can you please give us a ride down to Russell's Point? So they did. They accommodated us. They put me and my dogs in the back seat and they put Mark in the front seat. My son wasn't there. He was in Marysville at the Honda plant. So then we go into my daughters and then I made another video. There's another video. How about my daughters? We're still alive. I don't know how much damage is done really to the trailer in the dark with a flashlight, but I'm certain we don't have any windows. Then the next day I'm at my daughter's. I didn't sleep much. Because with my disability, if you get my anxiety so high, I don't sleep.
Right.
I go into autopilot mode.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day I'm waiting for my supervisor, who was my hero with a cape. She says, what can I do? What can I do? And I want to say this too. First of all, I'm not on welfare. So all the people out there at the lake that are making the comments on Facebook, I'm not on welfare. I work part-time and I am on disability. I pay all my bills. Nobody pays the bills for me. My electric is paid. My rent is paid. My taxes are paid. I keep my yard tidy. I power wash my trailer in the spring. I'm a good person. So please, keep your negativity to yourself off of Facebook. So then my supervisor said to me, what can I do to calm you down? Granted, I only work part-time, but I do work.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, Rochelle, I've got $3,000 worth of floors in this trailer that I just put in 2 years ago. I've done this trailer all myself. I painted all the walls. I ripped out all the carpet. You know, and then 3 years ago when the awning blew off, I'm the one that took a sawzall to it and cut it up.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it all. This is my pride and joy. I bought this with my disability money. I planned on living here forever. So my supervisor said to me, she says, what can I do? I said, I need to get boards or something on those windows.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I got you. She loads me up in the pickup truck at the shop, and we go way out of our way because they've got 33 blocked off. They've got 366 blocked off. I think y'all that are local call it Banks Road.
Mm-hmm.
They got Banks Road blocked off. So we had to go through roadblocks just to get back to my own house. And then when we get in here, we were blessed. We had 2 young men roll up and they were like, how can we help you? Well, we're trying to cover these windows. We're trying to cover these windows because I want to protect my flooring.
Mm-hmm.
So they were crawling on my roof like a couple monkeys. They put a tarp up on my roof and got it, secured. They helped Rochelle and I put the plastic on the windows, and out of the kindness of her heart, she gave them a tip, which I thought that was very generous of her. Then I've been here since then. I've been here since the 15th. I haven't left. I leave just for like a doctor's appointment or if I have to go get something. I've had my boots on the ground. Wow. And so then on the 15th, I wake up. If you want me to keep going, I can.
Yeah, I was just going to say we're going to kind of lead into the Fetter family. Okay. The people who own the trailer court, right? And Ron Williams was the manager.
That's correct.
So so the Friday after the tornado, the 15th of March.
Yes, sir.
What did you see happen?
The 15th, I have it all documented on my phone, so I'm not going to give you incorrect information because I am disabled, so I forget things. So I've made videos on my phone of myself. But I can tell you what I did. I woke up and I'm like, I got to clean the yard. I got to clean the yard.
Right.
My shed's exploded. That's the crazy part. My shed combusted, but all the contents were sitting there.
Yeah, it is crazy.
That's crazy. So I had just saved up $500. I had selected the paint at Lowe's. I was going to fix my hoopty deck, and I was going to straighten this place up a little bit, make it all one color. She needs painted. You have to wash her with TSP and Dawn dish soap, and then you have to power wash her.
Okay.
I was getting ready to paint her. Well, that $500 is now going to go to a shed.
Yeah.
So I have to have people talk me down. I'm calling up the people that can talk me down. I'm like, I need to buy a shed. I need to buy a shed. No, right. You don't need a shed right now.
Right.
I'm in shock.
Yeah.
So I get talked down from getting a shed. I would say within 2 to 3 days, they started coming in here with diggers and bulldozers. I can't give you the exact date. I didn't document that.
Right.
But they come in and they start squishing the trailers and picking them up and putting them in trucks and pull them out. And then the whole time that the grandchild was here, he was saying, oh, we're going to rebuild the park. We're going to rebuild the park. Mm-hmm. Oh, wait, let's go back to the 15th. It was a Saturday. Oh, I remember that day. That was the day that I was sitting down at lot 26. I was sitting there having a cup of coffee with Sherry, and there's a knock at the door. There are 3 Red Cross workers and a sheriff from out of the county come into her home, stand there, and we are told by this Red Cross worker, we must evacuate within the next 24 hours, and we must have our things off the property within the next 12 days.
That's what the Red Cross told you.
Yes. So we debunked her.
Right.
We said, we're not leaving, and you don't have the authority to make us leave. I found out a week later that person was terminated, by the way.
Good.
Which she deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, she put me in a panic attack. Yeah. She put me in such a panic attack, if I get too upset, I can't walk. I have a handicap ramp. It's currently underneath my trailer. I have a walker and a wheelchair back there in the bedroom.
Right.
I got so sick a couple years ago that I had to do rehab to get myself back to where I am now. Anywho, so she made me so sick that I couldn't even be in here. My husband brought in his friends from the church, and they were in here like gangbusters. They started at the front of the trailer, and they worked their way back. Everything in this trailer had to be cleaned. The glass was everywhere. There's 2 windows left in this entire trailer.
Wow.
I have a 14 by 70 with 2 bedrooms and a bath, and there are only 2 windows left. Which I'm lucky.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky, and I know I'm lucky. I mean, I have my neighbor here in the living room with us that she's living in a tiny house now. Right. It took 2 bedrooms and a bath. So, I'm being told at this point from the Fetters that we're going to rebuild. We're going to rebuild. And then going forward, I was reaching out to the grandson, and he wasn't responding.
No, what's his name?
His name is Karen.
Okay. Kieren.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's correct. I'm older, so it's hard for me to say that. I've never seen that name before.
Me either.
So I'm 51, Karen. I just don't look it. So going forward, I wasn't getting a response from the grandchild. The grandchild, Karen Fetter. So I reached out to his dad. Because at this point, I'm like, I need to know what's going on. And he says, his exact words were, when he picked up the phone, I said, is this Todd Fetter? And his exact words were, I'm never talking to the man. I used to deal with the dad. Yeah. And he passed away in January, Tom. And he said, it depends on who you are. And I said, my name is Joe Johnson, and I live in lot 29. Oh, hi, Joe. See, I'm not a problem. I've always paid my bills. I clean up my dog poop. I keep to myself. I don't throw loud parties. Mm-hmm. I obey the rules of the law. I mean, the sheriff's department, when they were out here at some point, he was standing next to me, and he looks over at me and he goes, who are you? And what trailer do you live in? I said, I live in 29, right behind you. Oh, I've never arrested you. That's why.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah, good morning to you too, sir.
Right.
So I talked to Mr. Todd Fetter, and he's like, we really don't know what we're going to do with the park. We don't know at this time. And I'm like, okay. And I told him my intent. I said my intent at this point was to rebuild. And I was quoted by the roofer, Mike, he lives a couple trailers down, that it would be $10,000 to $15,000 to put a new roof, new windows, and new siding. Mm-hmm. And then if you got a contractor come in, I've been told by Mike as well, possibly $30,000. Mm-hmm. That's a big cross to bear when you don't have insurance. And it's not because I'm negligent or whatever that big fancy word is.
Negligent, yes.
Yeah, it's not because I'm negligent. I had insurance on my car insurance. They dropped me. They dropped my homeowners because of where I reside. Okay. Because of being in this park. It's not my fault.
So you had insurance on your trailer.
And they dropped it.
And they dropped it because I'm assuming they probably checked the area out and said it wasn't up to code.
I don't know what it was.
It
was years ago. And so I've been rolling with no insurance because if people are going to drop you off of the insurance because they don't like where it's seated,
what can you do?
Mm-hmm. So I'm rolling with no insurance and just praying to God that everything's okay. And then God forgot to take his Prozac that day and let a tornado happen. Just saying. But so then Mr. Fetter tells me that they don't know what they're going to do. And I tell him, well, my intent is to rebuild. Mm-hmm. Well, then I find out, that's expensive. So then going forward, I call up and I'm trying to secure a person to come in and do an evaluation on my home. Mm-hmm. And the evaluation is it structurally sound? Mm-hmm. Did the tornado twist the frame? All right. And I also tell him that I have an inspector coming. Actually, I told him this in the second conversation. So I get an inspector, but to find an inspector, I don't know these things. So I start with the tax department of Logan County. Then Logan County Building Authority says, now I need to speak to a structural engineer. So I've talked to 3 different officials, and I have 2 different emails from Logan County. Okay? And so then I'm told that I have to speak to the Columbus Commerce of Mobile Homes. His name is Brian Hillman. Okay. I get on the phone with Brian Hillman. He said they were correct, but they were not correct. I can't inspect your mobile home, but I am the one that inspects the property to verify that it is suitable for a mobile home park. I didn't know who I was calling.
Right.
I called him by mistake. I was trying to get an inspector.
Right.
So he pulls me up on the FEMA map. He says, I think you guys are in a floodplain. So he pulls me up on the FEMA map, and then there's rumors going around Lakeview that we're in a floodplain. No, I am not seated in a floodplain. Mm-hmm. The floodplain starts at the very last trailer on my street, way down there at the end, her name was Kathy. Her trailer and the one across from it is in the floodplain.
Okay.
So he said, you're not in a floodplain and you're okay. So you're good to go. He says, what you need to do is get an Ohio inspector for mobile homes. So I get on the email list that was emailed to me from the building authority. And I go down through there and I see one in Toledo. That one just kind of struck me. And so I called him and I made an appointment.
Mm-hmm.
So going forward a little few more days, we clean up the yard. We got the glass cleaned up in here. We were graciously donated, I think, 8 totes of supplies.
Oh, wow.
Trash bags, toothpaste, anything that you would need, food.
Right.
And the community has been an outpour of generosity. The community has been keeping these generators going. The community has donated these generators.
Mm-hmm.
We've been blessed. So people on Facebook that say that we're not blessed, maybe you should come down here and talk to the ones that are thankful.
Mm-hmm.
Going forward, I have become brought to my attention. I wanted to make, at this point, I think we were about 10 days in. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I paid for it out of my money. I bought steak for everybody that RSVP'd, salad, baked potato. I'm not looking for a pat on my back. I am looking for normacy. Let's all sit in the driveway, have a beverage, have a salad, have a steak, have a potato, and enjoy each other's company.
Right.
So Karen's here, TJ's here, and next thing you know, Karen, what's that noise? Boom! And it shakes the earth. Boom! And it shakes the earth. And I'm like, I ignore it at this point because I'm not getting immune to the construction around my trailer anymore. And finally they move up a little bit. We can see what they're doing. They're taking, I think you call it a backhoe, where you take that big bucket and you go boom and you scoop it up. That's what they were doing. They were breaking up the concrete pads.
So the pads that are now broken were not destroyed by the
No,
tornado.
they were done by the fedders or their employees.
And did the fedders ever explain why they did that?
Hold on. I'm getting there.
Okay.
Earlier that day, it was around noon, I had somebody call me. Hi, this is so-and-so from Channel 7 News, and I would like to interview you. Keep in mind, this place is chaos all day long. You got people knocking on the door, making donations. You got people knocking on the door saying they need this. It's crazy. My phone doesn't stop. My phone hasn't rang so far. I'm surprised. And then I said, ma'am, right now I'm out here watching these people backhoe the trailer next door. I'll have to get back to you because they were starting to put the crap on my side of the property. And I had some things on that side of the property, a couple little globes that came from my daughter's grave, Josie's grave. And I thought to myself, I threw on my snow pants and I went out there like a bandy rooster. I went around the other way, and just to verify, they're not putting that trash on my lawn decorations that belong to my daughter's grave.
Right.
And they didn't. So I scooped those up and I put them on my back steps. So then later on that evening, we have our family dinner. Everybody goes home. Channel 7 News comes in and interviews me. After I'm done with Channel 7 News, I want to know why they're busting up the concrete. I might look stupid. I might look uneducated, but I am educated and I'm not stupid. I've worked my entire life. I started working in 1988. And I finally gave up and threw up the white flag in 2015. So I go out there and they're breaking up the concrete. So no, I call Mr. Feder. I call Todd Feder. He answers. And I said, sir, is there any particular reason that you're busting up the concrete? Well, we're not sure. And maybe he had called me that day. I'm not exactly sure of the timeline. I have it all on video. But he said, we're not exactly sure if the park is up to code. He said, we purchased the park back in the 1990s. Well, I'm not stupid. I've already went sleuthing. You purchased the park in 2002. It belongs to Star Mobile Homes if you pull up the tax documents. And he said, well, the park was built in 1970. Well, if you punch in Colonial Mobile Homes on Google, you'll find a park that looks like this one, because it is from 1970s. So he's probably accurate at this point. The park's been here since 55 years. Codes have changed. World has changed, but the park has not. So he said, we're busting up the pads, but we don't know what we're going to do with the park. And I said, okay. I said, well, I find that interesting, considering last time I priced concrete to pull my trailer out of here, it was $5 a yard. So you're breaking up every pad out here is $10,000. Later, I got corrected by one of the grandchildren. It's $20,000 per pad now.
Interesting. So they were purposely destroying the pads. Now, you mentioned they were tearing down trailers, the debris,
and
hauling it away.
Yes, they were.
When did you hear that some of those trailers, the tenants did not have a chance?
It started floating around Facebook, and those posts have been brought down. There was a lady that was posting it that they tore down my trailer without my permission. I can't vouch for the other two trailers because, honestly, we weren't like a tight community in here. You've got your own house and you deal with your own issues.
Right.
You don't go and have a potluck like I did that one night.
Yeah.
I can say for a fact, the 21st, because that's the day I had to go to the dentist. I had RTC because my truck was crushed. I had RTC pick me up, take me to the dentist, and bring me back. When I left, Louie's Florida room was still sitting there. His grill was still sitting out front with a broom leaning up against it. But like I said, his trailer looked like you picked it up, went like this with your fingers and feather dusted it and let it drop. When I came back, Louie's trailer was gone. I was gone for about 3 hours.
Florida room was gone.
Florida room was gone.
Grill.
Trailer was gone. Grill was gone. All was gone. Scooped up and cleaned up like clean earth.
And I mean, is it your understanding that Louis did not have a chance to come get his stuff?
To be fair, I'm visually here.
Yeah.
I saw him here for a few days, and then he had intentions on coming back. But he didn't get back in time, and they scooped it up for him. His insurance company didn't even get a time to come out and take their photos.
Because it was destroyed before they could.
It was destroyed before the insurance. And he talked to Todd, and I guess Todd told Louis that he would make it right. But that's between him and Todd.
Right.
That's none of my business.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate to say the least. Now, when did you learn that the park was no longer going to operate?
Oh, let's go back.
Okay.
Let's go back a second. So also in that other conversation I had with Todd Fetter, I said, Mr. Fetter, are you aware that my trailer is set for demolition and that my gas will not be turned on? There was a Wednesday night. It was brought to my attention that if you live in Lakeview, Ohio, and you have a yellow door hanger on your door, that your natural gas has been reinstated. Guess who doesn't have a yellow tag?
It'd be you.
Correct. So I called up the Fetters and I said, are you aware that I don't have any natural gas? And I'd already, at this point, it's Thursday. And I'd already called the gas company, because that's the only place you can call right now, because the electric and water have been hit by a tornado uptown.
Right.
So I called the gas company and I speak to customer service and I said, can you explain to me why I don't have a yellow door hanger for my natural gas? Ma'am, it says in the notes of your account that your trailer is set for demolition and we have removed your electric meter. Okay, now that's Thursday. Then that's Thursday. That was the day that I made all those calls to get a home inspector. Okay, now Friday. I get up at 7:30 in the morning and I make some more phone calls to the gas company. Gas company then reiterates, you are set for demolition and we have removed your gas meter. Again, I have the title to this trailer. My taxes are paid. My rent is paid. My electric has a $40 credit. My gas has a $300 credit. My bills are paid. How are you going to demo my trailer when it's my property?
Right.
I'm being told by the gas company. So, I escalated it to a supervisor because I am a force you do not want to reckon with. I escalated it to a supervisor. I get a call back that day at 2:22 from the supervisor, who's sitting at his desk probably eating his Cheetos and drinking his Coke. And he says, "Ma'am, your trailer's already been demoed." And that Friday, they had, the gas company had their boots on the ground.
Okay.
They had their boots on the ground and they were crawling around out here like cockroaches. I thought, oh, cool, I shook some trees.
Right.
They're going to turn the gas back on. No. So he says, "Ma'am, your house has been demoed." I said, "Well, that's funny, because I slept in it last night." "That's funny, because I'm sitting on my porch right now. You might want to reevaluate that lot 29 is still here." "Ma'am, let me call you back. Let me get with that field supervisor and let me call you back." He calls me back. "Oh, ma'am, I'm so sorry. That was a miscommunication between me and my field supervisor, but I do have some bad news for you. Your gas service has been terminated at the main. We do not know when it's going to be returned on."
Did they tell you why?
Because the owners had turned it off, per se.
So they turned the gas lines off at the main source that was then distributed to all the trailers here. Okay, well that had to be a little frustrating.
Yeah, so when I talked to Todd Fetter, "Well, I didn't know that your gas service was terminated at the main." So then on that Friday, I'm starting my paper trail. I'm sending out text messages to Todd Fetter and to Karen Fetter. And I said, this is like the 28th, I believe, was a Friday. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but the 1st is definitely Monday.
Okay.
Rent's due. And I always pay my rent.
Right.
And they had terminated Ron, I don't think his name is Williams. I think his last name is something else, but everybody says it's Williams. They had terminated Ron. He always took my rent and he gave me a receipt.
Mm-hmm.
I have a stack of receipts that go back 6 years. So I sent out a message, who I was, what I wanted. I wanted to know how I give them a money order and who do I make it out to. At this point, I got a $250 money order waiting to give it to the landlord.
Mm-hmm.
I am told that we do not have to pay April's rent. So now I got a money order that I got to figure out how to cash back out.
Right.
We do not have to pay April's rent. Okay. Well, then I want it in writing. Okay. They call me Joe at this point. "Okay, Joe, we'll in the text message, we will bring you out a letter tomorrow at 10:30.
Mm-hmm.
11:15, they knock on my door. It's the 2 Fetter grandchildren. And they hand me the letter. And I'm like, "Oh, no, you're not leaving." I said, "First of all, as you can see, my house is salvageable because you're standing in it. I have a home inspector on Wednesday coming out here from Toledo, Ohio, that I'm privately paying.
Mm-hmm.
And also, are you aware that our gas services are terminated at the main?" "No, we didn't know that." "We didn't know that." And I told him, I said, "Whatever I do, I will tell you to your face, because I'm not spineless.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an honest person. The 2 rules of my life are, you don't steal and you don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
I can't stand a liar and I can't stand a thief."
Right.
And no, we didn't know it was terminated at the main. And I said, "Oh, let me screenshot the conversation and I'll send it to you, at the gas company." And I took my little letter and let them go on their little merry little way. Then fast forward, we get to Wednesday. I have my home inspector out here. Home inspector goes all through my house. He said, you know, she looks really rough, but she's a good trailer.
Mm-hmm.
She's not twisted. She is rebuildable. You could fix her.
Good.
You could fix her.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, there's that $30,000 thing back there,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have to put her in another trailer park. Do I want to go through this ever again? No running water, no electric, and no gas for 30 days? I don't think I do.
Mm-hmm.
So the home inspector gives me the green light and gives me the report. Then we get probability of more storms. I'm in panic mode. Well, I find a way. The next morning, I had a church come in, and they put plywood on the wall or the windows over top of the plastic. So she's buttoned up pretty good right now.
Right.
And I can't say exactly. I've got it. I stopped documenting at this point because I'm just like, what's the point? What's the point? Yeah. They're having us leave. If you pull up the words self-eviction on YouTube, that's what they're doing, because they're withholding our utilities because they dug up the entire trailer park. So my running joke has been, Karen calls me the mayor because I'm the go-to person in the park now. But I've been calling myself Mrs. Howe from Gilligan's Island because that's how I felt until someone donated me a car.
Yeah.
Last Friday.
That's really nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And so I don't know exactly what day it is. You could ask Tosh Collins. You could ask Amber if she would tell the, whatever. I don't know. I don't know Amber very well. Then you have the gentleman from the RVs. We're all standing out there in the street. And here comes the owner, the grandson. Karen. And he makes the announcement. Well, we have decided that this is no longer going to be a mobile home park. And we have decided that we are not going to reconnect the utilities. Okay. That's fine.
This was last week, right?
Yes, sir.
So for roughly 3 weeks, you were being told...
We don't know.
By the feds, we don't know what we're going to do. We don't know what we're going to do.
Right.
They have the main power or the main gas line shut off.
Right.
But they claim to you they have no idea that happened.
Right. And the electric's been shut off too. I had a message come across somewhere that the electric's been terminated too.
Did anyone ever explain to you why the electric and gas was shut off?
They said the owner did it. That's the only rumor that I can get out of anybody. The owner did it. The owner did it. And the owners are saying we didn't do it. Well, somebody took and made that phone call.
Yeah. Well, what we were told, and I don't know, I don't have this verified, but when they were out here demoing trailers and digging stuff up, they broke utility lines that were buried underground.
Probably so.
And the power companies, the utility companies will not repair that because they didn't break it.
Right. They did with their diggers.
Right. So the fedders would be financially responsible to repair the lines they broke. And it looks like they're opting to not do that.
That's correct. They said it's going to be $800,000 to rebuild the park. I feel that number is a little high.
Likely. But like you said earlier, the park was probably not up to code.
Probably not, because it's been here 55 years.
So to bring it up to code would probably take a lot more of an investment from them. And for whatever reason, they're choosing not to do that.
Correct.
So how have you been surviving for the last month?
It's been horrible.
You have no running water.
No running water. To take a shower, I have to go to my daughter's, which I've only taken 2 showers.
No heat.
No heat.
Other than the generosity.
The generator, and you got to lock yourself in the back bedroom. So that's why my phone number's on my door, because I can't hear the door in my back bedroom.
Okay. So you've had the, I think what we can say, and to tell me if I'm wrong, the community support has been wonderful.
The community support has been 200%.
The ownership support
has been about 20%.
And that's what you need. You need a place to stay.
The owner, I can tell you what he has done. He's communicating better, I'll give him that. And I told him right to his face, I don't trust you. And then the next morning when he called me and I said, let me explain to you, because he's the younger generation. He's my kid's age. Mm-hmm. And I said, let me explain to you why I don't trust you. The entire time that you were in this park, you told me that you were going to rebuild. Now your family is saying you don't know. I'm a straight shooter. Mm-hmm. Just tell me you're not going to rebuild the park. There's too much damage. Y'all are going to have to move.
Right.
Just be straight.
Yeah.
Don't tap dance. I got a 14 by 70. You just don't hook it up to a pickup truck and take it to the next campground.
Right.
It's a $10,000 move.
Jesus Christ. Nothing's cheap.
Nothing's cheap.
Oh my God. So I know you're still in the process of figuring out the future, but where do you see yourself hopefully in the next few months?
Okay, so I'm not a wealthy person, but I'm a good person. So I opened up a GoFundMe because I'm at the end of my rope. Mm-hmm. I have laid out my heart, my soul, and all my dirty laundry. And I started calling lenders because after being here with no water, no heat, basically you're what you're used to, what your accommodations of 2024. Mm-hmm. It made me realize, do I really want to be in a mobile home park again? No. I'm done with mobile home parks. So last Friday I was donated a car. So going forward, the trailer can be rebuilt. Mm-hmm. But I'm not sitting on $30,000.
Right.
So I start calling lenders. I'm pre-approved, soft pre-approved, from $90,000 to $120,000 to buy a house.
That's great.
That's great. But in 2024, if you try to do USDA or FHA, they have to be nice homes.
Right, you got to pass inspection.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then the bottom side of that is I need a $10,000 down payment. That's a lot of money to come up with.
Yeah.
So that's where I am with the loan situation. Once I have $10,000 seasoning in my checking account for 60 days, I can get a actual letter from the lender that says I can go house shopping.
Okay.
Meanwhile, back at the ranch, I have another donation come in. I've been blessed, and I know I'm blessed, and I'm thankful. They said to me, we have a beautiful camper. I said, okay. I said, why don't you give it to somebody else? I said, why don't you give it to Karen? Why don't you give it to Sandy? They're missing parts of their homes. And she said, no. She goes, with your mental health, I feel that I need to give it to you. Because keep in mind, she's been calling me the mayor on my back. Everybody knows that I'm the one that's pretty much running this park.
Right.
And so she said, no, I'm going to give it to you. She said, the only stipulation is your task at hand is to find a place to park it. Mm-hmm. It's a 33-foot, 2009, and it's beautiful.
That's great.
I don't know anything about campers. I don't know nothing.
Right.
It's got pop-out slides and all this fancy stuff. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. I live in a mobile home.
Right.
You ask me about a mobile home, I can tell you. I'm the one that fixed the outside spigot out there. She can vouch for me. I crawl up underneath my trailer and I fix stuff.
Right.
There was a week a couple years ago, everybody in the trailer park was like, what's she doing up on the roof? Well, she's fixing it because it's leaking around the stack pipes.
Okay. Yeah.
I had a forever roof bolted on. I think that's why I didn't lose my roof.
Okay.
But it did do some 15 holes in it.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So I was gifted a camper. I don't even have a truck to pull it. The church has to set it up for me. So
the church gave you the camper?
Church found it, and an individual has donated it to me, and I meet them on Friday.
That is wonderful.
There are good people in this world.
Yes. So, I mean, hopefully you can find a place to park it.
I did.
You did?
Oh, I didn't stop there. I'm a train. I'm a reckon to be force fed. That's why she calls me the mayor.
Right.
I'm not mean to you. I mean, I do the right thing. I follow it by the books.
Right.
And so I get on and I'm calling yesterday. I 25 to 35. Around here, Indian Hollow, you name it. I think I've called them. And then my friends are saying, well, which ones have you tried? I don't know. Look at my call log.
Yeah.
Every 2 minutes I was dialing out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting frustrated. And I said, that's it. I'm done. Sat out there in my yard and I said, this is me. I am looking for a place to park a 2009 33-foot camper. Yeah, I said the wrong words. Because
You're okay.
33-foot camper. She's beautiful. I need a spot to put her. Oh, Facebook blew up. The community around here is amazing. Needless to say, I read an ad incorrectly that Lot 37 sent to me. And I went over behind Sabo's and I talked to a nice man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a lot. And I need Karen to go over there.
Right. It's
a camper on a lot for $500 a month.
Okay.
You need to go over there before this airs. And it's a nice little place for her, I feel. But I am telling myself, I misunderstood your ad. I don't want this. I have a camper I need to park.
Right.
So I feel defeated at this point. I jump in my car. I am about to put my car in reverse. Text message on Messenger pops up. I have a piece of property at this address. If you would be interested, go over and look at it and let me know. I drive over to Chippewa. I roll up in there. And he said it's a lot. I get on the phone with him and I'm walking my Labrador Retriever while I'm talking to him. Keep in mind, I got 2 Labrador Retrievers, a husband and a son that live here.
Right.
It's not just me. People think it's just me. No. And I have other children. And I have a child that I lost in 2017. I mean, I got a lot on my plate, but I don't give up. I don't turtle. And so I go over and I look at the property. It's Lot D. So my mobile home or my RV is going to back up in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the back side of my RV is going to be looking at the next RV over. I'm like, okay, I don't have to look at the neighbors.
Right.
Check. I'm looking at a privacy fence. Check. My RV is going to make a fence, so my 2 Labrador Retrievers, so it's a boxed in now.
Okay.
I have folding fence because Mr. Todd Fetter, with permission, gave me permission to put up a fence. He said, now Joe, he always called me Joe, now if you keep the fence tidy and we don't have any problems with the fence, you can have a fence. We kept our dog poop cleaned up, we kept it weed eated, we mowed our grass.
Mm-hmm.
I even put rocks all the way around my trailer.
Right.
To keep the weeds back. And so I have the folding fence. I kept it. It's covered in insulation. It needs cleaned. But I'm going to take that over to my camper. And I talked to the new landowner. I said, I have 2 100-pound Labrador Retrievers. I said, your Lot D is perfect for me. I can run my folding fence across there.
Mm-hmm.
Keep my labs and my grandchildren in my little space. And he said, that's fine. And his price is comparable to here.
Oh, that's great.
And he mows the grass.
Wow, that's great.
However, it's only a seasonal spot.
Okay.
I have to be out October, latest November is what he said verbally over the phone.
Okay.
Because he winterizes everything and shuts everything down for the winter.
Okay.
Secondly, I've never owned an RV.
Mm-hmm.
Can you even live in one of those in the winter? I don't think so.
I'm not sure either.
So I really need to focus on trying to find a place to live.
It's permanent.
Permanent.
Yes.
This is just a leap pad to get us out of the construction.
Yeah. It's a good step.
It is a good step. It's a positive step.
Yeah, and you'll be out of here.
I'll be out of here, and I'll be able to sleep.
Yes. Well, Missy, I really appreciate you telling us this story. I know it's not been easy for you to go through this or to probably talk about it. I'm sure it's been stressful. And I really appreciate you opening up and telling us what happened.
You're welcome. I just want the community to know the real story. This is the real story. This isn't the hearsay, she said. This is the facts.
Yes. You guys live here. You know what you've been through.
Right.
And that's I'm just so thankful that you guys agreed to talk with me. And we will stay in touch.
All right.
And we'll follow up and make sure, everything's going good. And we'll check with you in the fall and see, how you're doing as far as housing and if you need to move that camper somewhere, that RV somewhere else, maybe,
well,
we can reach out and get help.
Yeah, he offered to let me store it there. I can store it there. I just can't live.
You just can't live there, right? Let's hope that that November's a long way off. So let's hope things.
Yes, sir. One day at a time.
Yes.
That's how we roll.
Well, God bless you, Missy.
Thank you.
Thank you for your story. We'll talk later.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.